We got to talk some Oklahoma recruiting. The Sooners' big win over Michigan has top recruits buzzing. It's been the biggest recruiting weekend in years for Oklahoma. We got Josh McCuistion here from Sooner Scoop. We're going to break it all down. But first, OU fans, do me a favor. Jump on board and hit subscribe because we want to talk Sooner recruiting all season long. And we're going to do that. All right, let's bring in Josh McCuistion. And big win, much needed, and it's going to help in recruiting. And there was a big announcement that went down right before the weekend. Quarterback Peyton Houston, one of the top quarterbacks in the 2027 cycle out of California, announced that he's going to be making a commitment on September 15th. That was just 10 days away from his visit to Oklahoma. So what does this mean for the Sooners?
This felt like to me really a kind of a two-horse race for a while between USC and Oklahoma. And I know the kind of common thinking had been that it was USC. And like talking to people, and obviously his connection to Booby Feaster, that was, I think, a big part of the math for a lot of people. But the more this gets closer, I mean, it just kind of feels like him going to Oklahoma this weekend, just before he announces, just before I guess you would say he announces his announcement, and then I guess just a little over a week before his actual announcement, that seems pretty positive for Oklahoma. I mean, based on a long time in doing this, that's not usually something that's done just kind of willy nilly. So I think that is a really good sign for Oklahoma, and the early response from people I've talked to that were around him this weekend, it sounded like things went well. So, I don't have any reason to think that this would have turned him away. And, I know there's already been some predictions that have changed, but I think Oklahoma's in really good shape with Peyton Houston right now.
Certainly feels that way. I mean, I don't know, maybe it was a coincidence for him to announce that right before the visit, but hearing all of the national insiders kind of move away from that position where USC was the leader, it's got to be good news for Oklahoma, especially getting that win. So let's talk about just generally speaking. Oklahoma's had some big visit weekends, but it makes a big difference when you win that home game with all these recruits on campus. So generally speaking, what was the response from recruits last night?
Oh, it's been overwhelming. I mean, everybody I've talked to, and Josh, one of the things you can always tell is like when you're, obviously late kick last night, guys were still in the locker room until, well into 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, that kind of thing. You were talking to guys and they're chatty last night. Like everybody's ready to talk, trade questions. And like, that's always kind of a tell, you know how this goes. And so I think that was a really good sign because the visit weekend itself ended up being a bigger thing, but like it felt kind of similar to Tennessee last year where, OU's first game in the SEC and there was all this hype and excitement. And again, game day was there. It was a big deal, but OU didn't really deliver. And last night, okay, not only did John Mateer have some big moments, the defense looked great. So, you talk to these guys and everybody is just over the moon about what they saw, and the crowd atmosphere was, at OU can sometimes be a little up and down, but from, everybody I've talked to, it sounds like it was just perfect last night and everybody was kind of blown away.
Mm. So when it comes to recruiting, who do you think this impacts the most? I mean, it's got to be the 2027 cycle, right? And getting guys like a Cooper Hackett, Cooper Witten, Joshua Dobson, obviously Peyton Houston. I mean, what does this do for Oklahoma recruiting moving forward with these big names?
Well, it's really funny that Peyton Houston was there last night because it reminds me of something he and I talked about maybe a month ago. And he kind of talked about, we were discussing Bo Bentley's decision and how Bo kind of had to take Oklahoma on faith when he made his commitment. Like, I think this is going to work. And I like Ben Arbuckle and I like Oklahoma. But I was like, for you, Peyton, you get the advantage of getting to watch it and see if it's actually going to be anything. And he talked about that, how meaningful that was to him, that he really gets to take a step back, doesn't have to rush anything. And then to make that announcement, go to Norman. I mean, it feels like dominoes are kind of falling in that direction, but there's no question. You look at it, Oklahoma had one uncommitted player, to my knowledge, the 2026 class that was on campus, and he doesn't currently hold an offer. So this is a absolute 2027 and 2028 play. But 2028 so far down the road, who knows what it really means. So yeah, I mean, you look at, the 27 group that's there, you've got Jalen Brewster on campus, who I saw a couple of weeks ago, and it's just unbelievable. as highly as we've got him ranked, I still don't know if everybody appreciates how good that guy is. Cooper Witten, I think probably the one that OU fans have a lot of interest in is Cooper Hackett. Just days after committing to Texas Tech, makes a trip down to Norman. I know OU had a lot planned for him. I haven't had a chance to talk with him yet, but they really wanted to sit down, talk with him, his mother, and really kind of lay out what their plan is for him. But I don't think Oklahoma blinked for a second about his decision. So this is OU wanted this to be the weekend that spurred what they want 2027 to be, with a great in-state class, a lot of big-time talent in Dallas.
Yeah.
They think that can be a special class if the chips can fall right for them.
Well, it was an exciting game, and I think it goes a long way for the 2028 class. I mean, imagine you're a, 14, 15-year-old. You haven't been to many big games yet. Those are impressionable years, being 14, 15 years old. I know 2028 sounds like a far way out, but it's really not when it comes down to recruiting. So, I think it was a big night, big win for Oklahoma. Oklahoma fans, talk to Josh and I. How are we feeling? Not just about the season, but also recruiting. Put it in the comment section below.